You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero, because World War III is a really bad idea. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome to our show today. It is Thursday, October 31st, 2019. Sure happy it's Thursday. Sure happy it's Thursday. Sure happy it's Thursday. It is also Halloween. And so, get ready for the trick-or-treaters here. What can I tell you? This political correctness has spread over into our holidays now. And apparently Kmart, in response to an angry woman, has removed a bridal gown costume from the store shelves. That's how out of control all of this is. Now, my message to that woman would be, if you don't want your kid wearing a bridal gown costume, fine, don't buy it. That's freedom of choice. But don't go around with this attitude that being trans or gay or whatever gives you the right to tell everybody else what to do around you, because it does not. I have very much a live and let live attitude about life. You want to go be trans, you want to be gay, whatever, fine. I don't have a problem with that. I really don't. Just don't come into my personal space and say, no, you have to do this and you have to do that and you have to do that. Okay, I have one announcement to make here before we get into the show proper. And that is, I'm only doing the first hour of today's show live. Hours 2 and 3 are going to be a best of recording. We'll be live for the entire 3 hours tomorrow. We're coming up on Claire's next surgery, so there's a lot of running around, going to pharmacies, going to the doctors, and it's just something that we have to deal with here. So today's show is 1 hour only live. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. Mike is in our control room, ready to answer the phone, put you on the air with your comments and questions and so forth and so on here. All righty. Russia has now released their evidence of the U.S. smuggling Syrian oil out of Syria. And as it turns out, it isn't just since Trump said we're going back into control of the oil. Apparently, the United States has been smuggling Syrian oil out of Syria all along, just looting and plundering the place. And it's all being sent for processing outside of Syria. And if so many people have pointed out, that's Syria's oil. Now, they're still dealing with this al-Baghdadi situation and the growing doubts that that really was him. And they're trying to shift the focus now. The focus is now on the dog, the hero dog who's been awarded the Medal of Honor, which I think cheapens the Medal of Honor. But Trump tweeted out this Photoshop of the military dog being awarded the Medal of Honor. And people they were a little upset. I mean, the dog was injured doing the job it was trained to do, and that's fine. That's all well and good. But he's not the story. Al-Baghdadi, or whoever it was, is the story. Whether there was really a raid is the story. We do know one thing, that apparently, and again, this ties in with dumping him in the ocean like they did with the phony Osama bin Laden. Apparently, following this raid, the U.S. military just blasted the place to ruins on the excuse that they didn't want this to become a shrine to al-Baghdadi. Well, no, they're erasing the evidence. It's like when they bulldozed the Branch Davidians compound, put it all the way to be buried at a unknown site. Same thing with the federal building from Oklahoma City. Same thing with, most of the steel from the World Trade Towers. Get it out of here. We don't want to leave anything behind that somebody can find and call into question the official story here. Now, apparently over in Hong Kong, protesters and police there are in a Halloween standoff. And the court has now banned any online content inciting violence. Now, I'm opposed to censorship, but I'm also opposed to the violence. So this puts me in kind of like this awkward little place, which side do you support here? Over in the South China Sea, China is being ordered to stop bullying others by the U.S. Pacific Fleet Commander, for those of you with a sense of irony. And U.S. Pacific Fleet Commander says there's been no reduction in Beijing's aggressions in the South China Sea. And Admiral John Aquino said Beijing continues to bully surrounding nations in the vital trade route by threatening several countries using its built-up military on them. And he added that many of these nations are allies to the United States. Well, it is called the South China Sea. And it was returned to China formally, officially, at the end of World War II, through what was called the Cairo Convention. And the U.S. government is now doing to the South China Sea the same thing they did to Syria. We have a right to go on in there and just dictate what is going to be done with other people's property. Now, over in Japan, first it was Notre Dame, now it's Japan, and the Shuri Castle caught fire. Castle is literally revered as a god by locals, and it burned to the skeleton. Now, they're making a big deal of the fact that this World Heritage Site temple castle is 600 years old. That actually is not accurate. The building has been destroyed and replaced and rebuilt many times, including World War II, where it was flattened by U.S. bombing. Now, the other day we were talking about Michael Link. He's the special reporter on Palestinian territories for the United Nations. He was not allowed into Palestine by Israel. But he's speaking out and saying that it's time for the international community to end Israel's belligerent occupation. And he's calling for a global ban on Israeli settlement goods that are being produced on basically what amounts to stolen land. Okay, so as I said at the top of the show, it's Halloween. And apparently the Trump campaign, to kind of stick a finger in the Democrats' eyes, they had a Halloween event that was themed as a witch hunt. A lot of witches out there, because along with fake news media, witch hunt is one of Trump's favorite terms describing the activities of the Democrats over there in the impeachment inquiry. By the way, that vote on the impeachment inquiry did pass. It passed 232 to 196, mostly along party lines. And this all comes out of this whistleblower, supposed to be anonymous, but his name has been leaked out. He's a never Trumper, and basically he filed a complaint alleging that Trump pressured Ukraine to dig up political dirt on Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden. Now, digging up dirt is a long political tradition in this country. So why they're on Trump's case for it, I don't know. They tried to link it to the withholding of military aid to Ukraine. But as it turns out, and even the New York Slimes confirmed this, Ukraine did not know the aid was being held up at the time of the phone call in question. So the president has done nothing wrong. And again, I'm no longer a fan of President Trump, but he's done nothing wrong. Certainly nothing impeachable. The Democrats know it. And the Democrats are just out there just thrashing around trying to find something, anything that they can use to convince the American people that Trump is bad and Trump needs to go, and that they can move forward with this coup d'etat, call it an impeachment, get him out of office. So it began originally with Russiagate. That fell apart. Mueller report failed to deliver on the Russiagate accusations. So the Democrats have shifted gears, saying, well, okay, forget about Russia. It's Ukraine. Ukraine is where the corruption took place. Now, right now, Adam Schiff's star witness is Lieutenant Colonel Vindman, who testified he believed Trump blocked military aid to Ukraine in an attempt to force Ukrainian President Zelensky to publicly announce an investigation into Biden's family. So what the entire Adam Schiff impeachment push is based on is this one witness's belief. He doesn't know it for a fact. And as we've already pointed out, the Ukrainians were unaware there was a holdup to the aid at the time of Trump's phone call. And so apparently this Vindman is tied in with Ukrainian defense contractors and energy companies. And you got to look at his connections there. It's, as a witness, he's dirty. Bottom line here. Okay, Mike Pompeo is out there saying that it was Obama who was the one who corruptly withheld military aid from Ukraine, and insists there was nothing wrong with Trump's controversial call with the Ukrainian president. Critics, mostly Democrats, denounced his comments as being a conspiracy theory. That's their new one. If you say something the liberals don't like, oh, it's a conspiracy theory. Global warming people are wrong. We're going to have a really bad winter. Oh, no, that's just a conspiracy theory. Polar bears are dying. Anybody who doesn't agree loses their job. More about global warming later on. Anyway, Cuban Democratic Socialists have attacked Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's Democratic Socialists for supporting the Cuban regime, saying that she's either ignorant, not really socialist, not really democratic. New York Times came out with an op-ed claiming that free speech is killing us. And we're seeing this all over the corporate media, this push for more censorship, this push for legalizing censorship, for suspending the First Amendment. They had this poll out there the other day saying the majority of Americans want the government to control online speech. I don't buy that one for 1 second. That sounds as phony as Saddam's nuclear weapons or Assad's sarin gas. But the Times' point of view is that online dialogue is inciting people to violence. And yes, we're seeing a lot more violence in this society because our society is under a huge amount of pressure. But it's not just from offensive speech on the internet. All right, talking about the economic news here a little bit. Chinese oil and gas giant PetroChina has literally crashed on their earnings report. 58% plunge in its third quarter profit as lower oil prices, fierce domestic fuel competition, and slowing gas demand growth weighed heavily on their earnings. So they're having troubles over there as well. China, meanwhile, has set up a $29 billion fund to wean itself off of U.S. semiconductors. That came as a surprise to me. I wasn't aware that we were still in that line of work, but apparently we are. And China's semiconductor industry has largely depended on American technology. China is working on self-reliance. So in the wake of the US-China trade war, China seems to be heeding calls of urgency to wean itself off of US semiconductors and IP and accelerate their own semiconductor industry, which some believe could hurt American interests in the long run. Well, at the very least, we're losing customers. That means that those Americans who are working in the semiconductor industry, they're going to start losing their jobs. Apple has announced 33.4 billion with a B in iPhone sales for the fourth quarter of 2019. we're still technically in. This is a 9% decline from the previous year. Even with the new model out, sales are down. And now there's word that Apple may look at going the subscription route. In other words, you get a nice iPhone, but you pay for it monthly, perpetually, for as long as you have the phone here. I think it's going to backfire. I really do think it's going to backfire. Okay, the largest privately owned U.S. coal mining company, Murray Energy, has filed for bankruptcy protection, joining a growing list of bankrupt or struggling miners as utilities switch away from coal. And the company is trying to restructure $3 billion in debt and obtain some $350 million in new loans to continue operating during the bankruptcy proceeding. Now, Murray Energy was the country's fourth largest coal producer in 2018, accounting for 6% of total production. Okay. Article that came out of Investment Watch blog, we're in the early stages of a raging bull market for precious metals. That makes a lot of sense. Everybody knows when the paper stocks and paper equities are going bad, get into the metals. You get into the precious metals. And you want to know how bad it's getting out there? Apparently, the Washington, D.C. City Council is pushing a new proposal that would legalize sex work in the nation's capital. They're promoting prostitution as a desirable career choice for children. Young girls are going to be allowed to sell their bodies on D.C. city streets. And there have been similar bills proposed in New York, New Hampshire, California, Maine, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island. Hey, money's money. You got to have money. You got to have money so we can take it from you. So here's what you're going to do here. Out in California, they're still dealing with the fires, and communications are down in parts of California. Radio, TV, internet, cell towers are all shutting down because of the PG&E blackouts. Here's where I think a lot of those California legislators need to go back and say, did we do the right thing in outlawing shortwave repeaters? Because those are now banned in California for some reason. So California is heading into a new stone age. Victor Davis Hanson is saying California is becoming pre-modern. And it's becoming very obvious that Donald Trump isn't talking about this. And one has to wonder why. You know, are the Democrats going to try and blame Donald Trump for all of this? Well, former Governor Jerry Brown is already out there saying, well, yes, of course, this is federal government territory. Blood and the ashes are all on your soul. All righty. Getting into the world of political correctness, women are being removed from the most powerful women list to make room for transgenders. So it's not just the female athletes, it's not just the female actors on Broadway and Hollywood that are being displaced by these fakes. Because let's be honest, when you get right down to it and you look at the DNA, these are still men. All the cosmetic surgery and chemical castration and makeup and everything doesn't really change that. All right, we're going to take a break here for commercials. We'll be right back after these few words.
corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
What this country is coming to, I sure would like to know. If they don't do something by and by, the rich will live and the poor will die. Doggone, the panic is on. Can't get no way, can't draw no pay. Unemployment getting worse.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show. We're talking about political correctness, LGBTQ, and so forth. And a lot of people are still very upset about this phenomenon, which is spreading across the country, called the Drag Queen Story Hour, being held in public libraries. And specifically at the Hennepin County Library in Hennepin, Minnesota, they had this drag queen known as Sasha Sosa, who performs at strip clubs, and during the course of reading to the children, flashed the kids, and it was caught on camera. So Child Protection League Action posted a series of images from the event saying they represent taxpayer-funded debauchery and sexual grooming. And I'm in agreement. As I said earlier in the show, if you want to be a drag queen, fine. Just don't try and impose it on everybody else around you. Now, as you know, liberals, politically correct people, they love to find things to complain about, to be offended about. Somebody did a study that confirmed the stereotype that men are funnier than women. Now, we're talking about just ordinary people, place of employment. We're not talking about professional performers here. We're talking about just ordinary people. But guys tend to be funnier. And the study found some 63% of men are funnier than the average woman. And of course, the liberals are up in arms here. They're indignant. How dare you say that women are inferior to men in any way, even in the telling of a joke? I think part of the problem is feminism has created a culture in which telling jokes is discouraged. They're always out there saying, that's not funny. Okay, I thought it was funny. Here's what you think. You're just a man. All right, so let's talk about human-caused global warming because it is getting chill out there. And as a matter of fact, we had snow flurries earlier today right here. Utah sees a record cold, pardon me, of minus 43.6 degrees Fahrenheit. It is possibly the lowest October temperature ever recorded in the continental United States, and the records go all the way back to 1874. So it is chilly out there. And there's another article saying, you know, it's not supposed to be this cold in October. These record low temperatures up to 50 degrees below normal threaten to wreck the rest of the harvest season. In fact, we even heard that on our car radio here in Indiana. That we're going to get a hard freeze over the weekend, and that's probably going to be it. Growing season here in at least in this part of the country. So, folks, been saying this for a while. We're going to have a massive food shortage in this country. Nobody wants to talk about it, but you'd better get prepared. Get a chest freezer, start stocking up and stockpiling now. Get some MREs or some freeze-dried food. You're going to be in a serious world of hurt as we get toward the end of the year. Okay, the journal Nature has been forced to retract a major climate study that was done by the University of California and Scripps Institute of Oceanography. It came out exactly a year ago, was published a year ago, Halloween 2018. And it was so full of errors and assumptions and guesses that the editors of Nature said, we can't let this stay there. So they've issued a retraction. The gist of the study was the oceans were getting warmer. It was all the fault of humans, and they claimed to have the proof. And as it turns out, no, they didn't. Now, needless to say, the corporate media is absolutely silent on this. They're still out there pushing global warming. Well, they're calling it climate change now. They have to. The warming part is definitely gone. But now it's climate change. Climate always changes. Without the impact of human beings. They're still pushing that carbon tax agenda. Okay, Greta Thunberg is back in the news, and she is demanding Facebook start to censor her opponents. We'll be right back after these few words.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Okay.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, the number 2, keep it today.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcast. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
Many people write us about their experience with Extendivite. Allow me to read you some from Amazon.com. It really does work like the review says it does. I cannot believe that after the first few days, I didn't feel as sluggish or clogged up. It has had a profound impact on my physical, emotional well-being. I'm skeptical as most people about products and their claims, and I never write reviews, but this is a wonderful product and I recommend it to everyone. Great product. It has brought my blood pressure from the mid-150s over the 80s to the mid-130s over mid-80s, along with diet and exercise in just the past couple of months. Excellent. Thank you, David. Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
Some are maxed out all their credit cards. Some are working 2 jobs and living in cars. Minimum wage won't pay for a roof, won't pay for a drink. If you gotta have proof, just try it yourself, Mr. CEO. See how far $5.15 an hour will go. Take a part-time job at one of your stores. I bet you can't make it here anymore.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show. We're going to take a phone call now from Kevin in West Virginia. Aloha, Kevin. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
I wanted to comment. I forget what her name is, and I'm just going to call her Global Warming Girl. Her name's Greta something. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. But okay, yeah, that. Just because you're a teenager and just because there's some type of disability there doesn't give you a pass to not be, to somebody for blowback, for somebody not to critique you or to be critical of you. Like, it just blows my mind. When you put yourself in the limelight like that, expect blowback, expect somebody to be critical of you. That's why we have free speech, to get different, ideas out there. I mean, I feel like they're using her because A, she's a child, and B, there's a disability there. I mean, look, I'm blind. Does that give me a free pass to go out and be stupid and commit crimes? No, it doesn't.
Well, you raise a very, very good point, and we have seen not just in the climate change agenda, but a lot of places where they're relying more and more on young people to try and sell their message, thinking that us elderly types are going to be more likely to listen to children, which is definitely not true. But that they're desperate enough to try that. And this Greta, she's obviously funded well enough to fly all over the world and speak at all these conventions. And she's basically following the classic global warming climate change script.
Yeah, and the other thing, too, I want to point out with all this global warming thing, too, I forget how recent it was, but Obama bought a beach house, or not even a house, a big estate, right on the beach of Martha's Vineyard. If the sea floor, or if the sea's rising, why would he buy a beach house right on the beach if the sea levels are rising? That doesn't make sense to me.
No, it doesn't. Al Gore did the same thing out in California.
Yeah. I mean, this is the hypocrisy, and I forget what the actor's name, Leonardo DiCaprio, can fly around in his Learjet, and I'm tired of taking this crap from these people. Who died and made them king or to push this agenda on this? I guess you could call us little people. We have a voice too. I mean, I think we're starting to get to the point where everybody's getting tired of taking this.
Yes,
I really do. I mean, and this is just one thing. This global warming is just one thing. The political spectrum's another thing. I heard you a little while ago. The food shortage. Man, the food shortage with the political things that's going on. Yeah, don't be surprised if all of this hits all at once. I wouldn't be one bit surprised.
Well, they're trying to keep it all propped up. It's like a juggler who's got too many balls in the air, and when it comes down, it will all come down. We're seeing signs of extreme stress in the economy that, again, the government and the corporate media won't talk about. There is no question between the spring floods and the early arrival of winter, we're going to have a serious crop shortage here. And then you have this swine flu, which has now become a global problem, wiping out about a third of the pork bellies.
Yeah, I mean, I swear all of this is engineered. A couple days ago, the owner, John, and I don't know how to pronounce his last name, Stadmiller, had Deborah Tobias on his broadcast, and she was talking about silent weapons for quiet wars. I don't know if that document's real, but I can tell you when I sit there and listen to the 44-page document, I found it on YouTube, it made me angry that there's people out there that are that ruthless and that cold-hearted or don't even have a heart that they would actually do this to their fellow human. I mean, and I'm going to go on the assumption that it's real. I mean, because looking around, I mean, there's all of these like Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, the fires out in California. Somehow, I don't believe that they are, just natural fires. I think they were kind of maybe provoked. I mean, but, I don't want to dispute any of that, but, that's just what I think. I mean, I should have the right, in this society, and I do have the right, to come to my own conclusions and to have my own, I told you the other day, it's the intellectual thought process that I think is the most important that we have, to have our own conclusions, to come to our own conclusions, and to be free thinkers. And, that's just kind of where I stand with that. That's all I have for you today, Mr. Mike. Sorry that I ranted to you, but have a nice and wonderful day.
Well, thank you very much. We'll do our best here. We're hoping that we're going to get some kids showing up for trick-or-treating tonight. As far as the possibility of some nation state or some entity doing some of this stuff, when this swine flu first broke out in China, it crossed my mind this could be an act of economic sabotage, part of the trade war. And it's not like it is without historical precedent, because when the CIA was down messing with South America, sabotaging crops was one of their main tools. They'd get a government of a country to go into debt to American banks, and the country would agree because, hey, we produce this great coffee and we're going to sell the coffee and use that to pay back the loan. And then all of a sudden the coffee would get hit with, some kind of pests that ruined it. Cuba still insists that there was crop sabotage going on during that whole Cold War situation. So again, there is historical precedent for it. I don't know why somebody would want to burn up California, but and I remember one time when I was still living in North Hollywood, and there was a huge fire. And it turned out that it had started as a campfire for some homeless people. And the wind whipped up, blew the embers. They couldn't get it out. Big raging fire there. As far as the flooding concerns, that's failure of infrastructure. As far as the early and looks like it's going to be hard winter, that's just Mother Nature doing what Mother Nature does. So that's kind of where we are on that one here. Okay, over at NBC News, they're now pushing this idea that you should receive an implantable microchip that would take the place of your wallet, your keys, and your personal identification. Now, the first thing that occurred to me was, how is anybody using this technology going to know that that implantable microchip is still implanted in its original owner? Because it looks to me like we've created an opportunity for criminals to simply start slashing people up, grabbing the chip, and using the information on it. Okay, we've always talked about the flu shots, and it's really a guessing game. They start manufacturing the flu vaccine before they really know what strains of flu they're going to have to be vaccinating against for the coming year. Very often they guess wrong. And so they're out there now saying that the flu shots may be even less effective this year. And they're not that effective to begin with. I think the average across all age groups is something like 28%. And for young children, it's even less than that, which is the group most to be protected. So they're saying now that the strain prediction used to manufacture the vaccine this year may be wrong. Boeing, just their problems will not go away here. Up to 50 Boeing airplanes have been grounded around the world after they discovered wing-related cracks. And this is the 737 NG, the next generation model that has this problem. That plane is the precursor to the Boeing 737 MAX. It has its own issues. But a Boeing spokesperson told AFP that some 1,000 planes around the world had reached the inspection threshold. The problem these operations zeroed in on was the so-called pickle fork, a part of the plane that connects the fuselage to the wing. That would be embarrassing. You're flying along and the wing comes off. This is what you get when you have an established company doing good business and you let all the old white guy engineers who grew up with this technology, you let them go, and you bring in a bunch of H-1B visa workers to replace them. They don't know the technology. They're smart enough to do the job that's immediately put in front of them, but they don't have the experience and wisdom to say, hey, this may be a problem. Speaking of things being a problem, Russia has gone ahead and ordered an extra Soyuz manned spacecraft, overlooking at the uncertainty over the NASA replacements, get back up to the space station. And as a matter of fact, NASA has already requested additional rides to the International Space Station while they wait and see what shakes out from the domestic program. And again, do not want to rush the program because that's where mistakes come from. All righty. Now, two guys from We Are Change snuck onto Jeffrey Epstein's private island. down in the Caribbean. And they shot some video. It's up there. What really happened, linked to it. And the place is being maintained. It's being kept up. The windows in what is called the temple have been boarded over. And apparently the island is still fully staffed. Somebody's paying all those bills. It still has its own ambulance. It's kind of weird when you're told the guy who used to live there no longer lives. That is a little bit out there. Okay, over in Mindanao, they've had another strong quake. This one was 6.5 magnitude on the Richter scale. Apparently, they had a big quake over in Iran. It was big enough where the shaking was felt in the United Arab Emirates. Mother Nature's kind of on a rant here, if you will. Okay, so and let's go down to here. Take a look here. Still seeing that tiff between Joe Meador and Turning Point USA Charlie Kirk over what is perceived as an insult to the survivors of Israel's attack on the USS Liberty. That fight is still going on here. Okay, over at Judicial Watch, Tom Fitton is saying that the Department of Justice found possible crimes in the Obama deep state spying on President Trump. Coup is about obstructing Durham as much as it is about destroying President Trump. Trying to find some way that can just shut this all down. Okay. We already talked about Apple's going to have a pay-to-play approach to selling their iPhones. They simply made them too expensive. And they simply don't have upgrades and capability that justify the high prices. I mean, when the iPhone first came out, yeah, wow, this is great. And each new iPhone release is just about, well, okay, it's nice. Is there anything like really major improvement somehow? It's all incremental. Okay, apparently, this is rich. Over in Georgia, they accidentally say that they released this convicted rapist from prison. And yeah, okay, I'm fine. I'm happy with that. And he's been recaptured in Kentucky. So out in Hawaii, Crazy Mazie Hirono is attacking an originalist Trump nominee, saying, you wouldn't allow blacks and women to vote. Well, of course, the nominee didn't say that at all. All right. We talked about the precious metals here. Okay. Scroll down here a little bit and find something new. There's a lot out there, but just nothing really leaping out. Apparently out in California, there's sort of a joke meme going around, electricity's for losers. I don't think so. Okay, Starbucks manager is suing the company for discrimination against white people. It really is silly. Really is silly out there. Okay, as you know, earlier this week, the House of Representatives passed a bill recognizing the Armenian genocide, which happened during the formation of Turkey and resulted in a lot of people being killed. Greeks, the Armenians, and it was a genocide. And everybody's denouncing this, saying, well, this is politics. This is making a statement to Turkey. Well, who cares? It's time to acknowledge that the genocide did in fact occur. Not have our history dictated to us by politics. Story coming out of Natural News here. Oh, got to take a break for commercials. Back with the last segment of today's show after these few minutes.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
Many people tell us about their experience with Extendivite. Just listen to what Glenn has to say.
Prior to taking it, I had diabetic neuropathy. The Extendivite reduced that significantly. Acid reflux was reduced. I had athlete's foot, very severe. Trimmed that down to about 75% dandruff, almost completely gone. I had occipital neuralgia at the base of my skull. I was having migraines, reduced by about 90%. Heart palpitations, my heart would kind of stall out. I would skip a beat. Very uncomfortable. And when walking from downstairs going to sleep, by the time I got to the bedroom, which is just one flight of stairs, my heart was pounding, coming out of my chest. My vision was blurry. This completely solved that problem. Great product. Thanks.
Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to the show. This is the last segment. This is the last segment of today's live show. As I said when the show opened, I have something I have to do where I have to basically leave. So the final 2 hours of today's show will be a best of recording, but we will be back for the full 3 hours tomorrow, Friday. And so thank you for understanding. And I can't control the timing on a lot of this stuff here. Down in Houston, Derek Brose, who's a candidate for mayor, is out there campaigning on a rather unorthodox platform, saying that government and media are run by organized crime. And I'd say that he's bang spot on. It does seem like media and government are an organized crime organization, the way they behave. Anyway. A report has found CIA-backed death squads in Afghanistan committed war crimes and atrocities. Well, imagine my shock and surprise at that one. And apparently, there are a lot of allegations, especially coming out of Syria, that the U.S.-backed jihadis committed atrocities. At the same time, the U.S. government and the corporate media were saying, "Oh, you know, we're the most moral army in the world, and you know, Assad's the bad guy here." Now we find out that the OPCW fictionalized its reports on the Douma gas attack to frame the Syrian government and divert attention away from the real culprits. I'm trying to remember who it was who said that the truth is the first casualty of war. I think it may have been Senator Hiram Johnson. Anyway, apparently, you know, Israel's on this campaign to polish its image around the world. And apparently over at Duke University in North Carolina, Tzipi Livni, the former Israeli foreign minister, was there to give a presentation. And the students just got rowdy and said, "No, we know what you're doing over there in Palestine." Apparently, students over at the University of Massachusetts are now upset with their chancellor, who's out there attacking BDS. All righty. Somebody's concerned about conflict of interest and how it poisons the field of cancer medicine and how it's all about increasing profits. There was an article came out the other day, once again claiming that there are cancer genes in the vaccines. Let me explain why they give them away for free. All right, so stay tuned for the next 2 hours. It's a pre-recorded show, followed by John Stadmiller. Please spread the word about RBN. Please spread the word about what really happened. Please support us. We're doing our best. Have a happy Halloween and stay safe. We'll see you tomorrow. Aloha, America.